Good afternoon, everybody. How many of you are here for the first time? Okay, nearly a dozen. Good. ठीक है, पीछे तक आवाज़ आ रही है? आपको थोड़ा आगे आना है. You'll be able to ask more personalized doubts. Okay, आ रही है. ठीक है, sorted. No issues, no issues. आ जाओ यार, फटाफट आ जाओ. आ जाओ, फटाफट आ जाओ. Be seated. ठीक है, all right. So this is the session for sociology. आप recording शुरू कर दो. कर रखिए. Okay. This is the session for sociology. कितने बच्चे इस बार का मेंस एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं? मेंस कॉल? गुड, क्वाइट अ फ्यू नंबर. ठीक है, अपने डाउट सब अच्छे से है ना एड्रेस करके जाना. ऑप्शनल के चक्कर में नहीं रुकना चाहिए सिलेक्शन, क्योंकि जीएसएस से तो हम संभाल ही रहे हैं. सो मेक श्योर दैट ऑल योर डाउट्स रिगार्डिंग सोशियोलॉजी आर एड्रेस्ड बाय मैम. भले थोड़ा वक्त लगे, मैम के सेशन के बाद मिलना, पर्सनली जो भी डाउट्स हैं क्लियर करके जाना. सॉर्टेड? ओके. सो विद अ राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज विल वेलकम TRIPTI ma'am here. She has given back-to-back 2 interviews with sociology and had an awesome score in sociology optional. आजकल तो scores बहुत डिप हो रहे हैं, तो ऐसे यार हमें score आना is a very 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 big thing. And she'll be guiding you for sociology today. Welcome ma'am.
गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल ऑफ यू. सब कितने एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं 2025 में मेंस लिखना? ठीक है, बाकी 2026. ठीक है, तो हम दोनों में बात करेंगे, 25 के लिए भी और 26 के लिए भी. ठीक है, फिर आपको कोई डाउट्स हो, कुछ भी हो, आप मुझसे फ्री होके पूछ लेना एकदम. ठीक है, क्या क्या बात करेंगे पहले मैं वो बता देती हूँ, फिर हम डिटेल में हर टॉपिक पे बात कर लेंगे. सबसे पहले रिसोर्सेस. ये अभी भी आई बिलीव 2025 वालों का तो नहीं डाउट होगा, बट 26 वालों को मेजर डाउट इधर आ रहा है रिसोर्सेज में. सेकेंड वुड बी नोट मेकिंग फॉर बोथ 25 और 26 की क्या कर सकते हैं. आंसर राइटिंग 25 वालों के लिए तो सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट, और 26 वालों को भी कैसे प्रोसीड करना चाहिए आई टेल यू. आंसर राइटिंग में ही क्या क्या बहुत छोटे पॉइंट्स हैं, मैं आप लोगों को वो भी बताऊंगी. आई कैन टेल यू दैट फ्रॉम माई फर्स्ट मेंस जो मैंने लिखा था सोशियो में, टिल माई सेकेंड मेंस आई वॉज एबल टू इम्प्रूव 66 मार्क्स. वो इम्प्रूवमेंट मैंने यही बहुत बेसिक छोटी चीज़ों को अडॉप्ट किया था, तो आई वॉज एबल टू मेक दो दैट इम्प्रूवमेंट. आई बिलीव आप लोगों को पता है 66 मार्क्स इज़ अ वेरी बिग इम्प्रूवमेंट. तो ये बहुत छोटी चीज़ें हैं, मे बी आप लोगों ने कभी सुनी भी हो, बट एक जगह लिख लेना, जिससे कि जब भी आंसर राइटिंग करोगे सो यू शुड कीप दीज थिंग्स इन योर माइंड. आंसर राइटिंग के साथ साथ टेस्ट सीरीज भी डिस्कस करेंगे कि क्या करना है, कब करना है, ये सारी चीज़ें. ठीक है, और पर्टिकुलरली फॉर 2025 पीपल 75 डेज स्ट्रैटेजी. आज 4 जून है, 22 को आपका एग्जाम है. सो अगर आप देखोगे तो 22 अगस्त, सो 19 अगस्त तक के लिए क्या स्ट्रैटेजी रखनी चाहिए, वील डिस्कस दैट. दिस विल बी ओनली फॉर 2025. ओके फाइन. सबसे पहले रिसोर्सेज. जिससे कि कंफ्यूजन ना हो, I will discuss for 2025 इधर, and then for 2026 we can discuss here. Fine. For 2025, I assume and believe that you would have taken some basic material. आप लोगों ने हो सकता है फाउंडेशन किया हो, सोशियोलॉजी में, और इफ़ यू हैव रेड योर बाय योर ओन, कहीं यूट्यूब से देखकर, कहीं से भी किसी टॉपर नोट्स को, सो आई वांट दैट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो आपके बेसिक नोट्स हैं आप उन पे ही रिलाई करो. डू नॉट स्ट्रगल फॉर एनीथिंग, डू नॉट लुक फॉर अदर थिंग्स. प्राइमरी thing that you should focus is your own self made basic notes. Basic notes में जो भी आपने पूरा कंटेंट का explanation लिखा होगा that would be covered. Again, as I mentioned, basic notes या तो आपने कोई कोचिंग किया हो वहाँ का हो सकता है, और your self made notes जो आपने कोचिंग जो आपने YouTube पे या कहीं से भी बुक में देखकर किया हो. इसके साथ अगर आपको है कि आपके पास अभी सपोज उतने अच्छे बेसिक नोट्स नहीं बने हुए हैं फॉर 2025 पीपल, आई कैन सजेस्ट यू सम टॉपर्स. उन टॉपर्स ने अपने टेलीग्राम चैनल पर काफ़ी अच्छे नोट्स डाले हुए हैं. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ स्ट्रगलिंग फॉर द नोट्स एट दिस वेरी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, आई विल नॉट सजेस्ट यू टू मेक द बेसिक नोट्स नाउ, एटलीस्ट इफ यू आर गिविंग दिस ईयर्स अटेम्प्ट. गो फॉर द टॉपर्स नोट्स. टॉपर्स ने बहुत इलेबोरेटिव रिसर्च के बाद ही ये नोट्स बनाए होते हैं. सो वन वुड बी नेहा भोसले मैम नोट्स. इनका ये शी वाज ऑल इंडिया रैंक 15 इन योर CSE 2019. मैम के टेलीग्राम चैनल पे आपको दोनों सब्जेक्ट्स के लिए 300 पेजेस के नोट्स मिल जाएंगे. उन्होंने उसमें बहुत इलेबोरेटिव तरीके से डिस्कस किया है, सारे टॉपिक्स बहुत इलेबोरेटेडली उसमें एक्सप्लेन्ड है. ठीक है, ये देख सकते हैं. ओके, ये वाली चीज़ें 2026 के लिए भी हैं. अगर आप लोगों को अपने मतलब आप ये नाम लिख सकते हैं या देख सकते हैं. अगर आपको कोई कोचिंग नहीं करनी है फाउंडेशन या कुछ भी, तो आप इनके नोट्स रेफर कर सकते हो. थर्ड इज योर अनिमेश प्रधान सर्स नोट्स. सर ने अपने नोट्स मेजरली नेहा मैम के नोट्स से ही बनाए हैं. ही वॉज इन 2023 CSE, ही वॉज ऑल इंडिया रैंक 2. सर का स्कोर भी 282 आया था इस टाइम. ओके, सो अनिमेश प्रधान सर के नोट्स हैं, उन्होंने नेहा मैम के नोट्स से बनाए हैं, तो हम इनको भी रेफर कर सकते हैं. अगेन ये भी टेलीग्राम पे मिल जाएंगे, और मैंने खुद भी पर्सनली सर के नोट्स देखे हैं, तो वो मोर और लेस ऐसा लगता है कि नोट्स के नोट्स बनाए हुए हैं. अगर आपको डिटेल में जाना है तो नेहा मैम के देख सकते हैं, वरना सर के देख सकते हो. ठीक है, इसके अलावा ऑब्वियसली कोई भी टॉपिक नहीं समझ आ रहा तो आप यूट्यूब या फिर गूगल AI कुछ भी करके अपने कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर कर सकते हैं. ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपके पास मेजर नोट्स हो, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट बोथ पेपर्स, पेपर 1 एंड पेपर 2. ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपके पास बेसिक नोट्स तैयार हो और कुछ कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट्स में आपके पास नोट्स ना हो. सो फॉर दोज टॉपिक्स यू कैन गो ऑन यूट्यूब और AI जो भी आपको करना है वो कर लीजिएगा. सो दिस शुड बी योर रिसोर्सेज इफ यू आर टारगेटिंग बेसिकली दिस ईयर्स मेंस. फाइन. फॉर 2026 जिनके पास अभी कुछ भी नहीं है वो क्या कर सकते हैं? फर्स्ट तो ऑब्वियसली इफ यू वांट यू कैन गो फॉर द फाउंडेशन कोर्स जो आपका सोशियोलॉजी का है. उसमें आपको डिटेल में नोट्स मिलते हैं, फिर आपको पूरा कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी आती है. सो इट बिकम्स ईजियर फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड सोशियोलॉजी बिकॉज it is possible that every one of us might not be having a background in sociology. So in order to understand the concepts, foundation course can be done. अगर आप लोगों को फाउंडेशन में नहीं भी जाना है, then नितिन सांगवान सर's notes और I would say book, इनके 2 मॉड्यूल्स आ रहे हैं, पेपर 1 के लिए अलग और पेपर 2 के लिए अलग. तो this is a very basic source which I will recommend that even if you are going for the foundation, do not miss this. This was a personal mistake that I did. In first attempt, I only relied on this thing, my coaching notes, but I did not go for any basic source which you all might know is Nitin Sangwan. In my second attempt, when I went and when I read that Nitin Sangwan, I added the notes, I added the content in my basic notes only. This was the time when I was able to score 277. So this is a very basic book that I will recommend, that go through this book. Then third, if you want that if you might feel that Nitin Sangwan's sir book is relatively difficult to understand, क्योंकि उन्होंने summarize करके सारी चीजों को बनाया है. So definitely then for paper 1 you will have to go for Haralambos. Now again इधर भी बहुत doubts आते हैं that whether we should go for orange book or whether we should go for blue book. Blue book is a bulky book and orange book is a very short kind of a book. मैंने पर्सनली ब्लू बुक पढ़ा था, बट द थिंग इज यू डू नॉट हैव टू रीड द ब्लू बुक कवर टू कवर. आपको सिर्फ टॉपिक्स, हमको सिलेबस में दोनों पेपर्स के लिए, आई वुड पेपर 1 के लिए पर्टिकुलरली बहुत इलैबोरेटिव तरीके से बता रखा है दैट व्हाट ऑल टॉपिक्स वी हैव टू रीड. इस बुक में से आपको सिर्फ वो टॉपिक्स सर्च करने हैं और उन टॉपिक्स को पढ़ना है, रादर देन गोइंग थ्रू द इंटायर बुक. ओके, तो सिलेबस के साथ रिलेट करके बुक पढ़ सकते हैं. देन फोर्थ, अब इसमें भी कोई बोलते हैं कि मैम रिट्जर पढ़े क्या, ये जेन्युइनली मैंने कभी भी नहीं देखा है कि है क्या वो बुक. ठीक है, मैंने नहीं खोल के देखा है. और अगर उसके बिना भी अगर हम ये, आई थिंक आप लोगों को पता ही होगा, ये थोड़ा डिसेंट स्कोर ही है, मतलब ठीक है 300 भी आते ही है, बट ये भी डिसेंट ही है, तो उसके बिना भी आ सकता है. फाइन. फोर्थ जैसे मैंने बताया पेपर 1 के लिए तो फिर वही है, टॉपर के नोट्स देख सकते हो. दोनों मैंने बता दिए हैं, अनिमेश प्रधान सर और नेहा भोसले मैम के नोट्स, और फिर गूगल और यूट्यूब तो डेफिनेटली यस. फाइन, ये तो पेपर 1 के लिए थे. नितिन सांगवान सर की बुक पेपर 2 में भी काम आ जाएगी. पेपर 2 के लिए क्योंकि आपको पता है कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा वेरीड कंटेंट मिलता है, कहीं स्पेसिफिक कंटेंट नहीं मिलेगा. इस बुक में तो डेफिनेटली थोड़ा इसमें तो मिल जाएगा वैसे नितिन सांगवान सर की बुक में. इसके अलावा कोई पढ़ना है तो राम आहूजा सर का एक बुक है, वो पढ़ सकते हैं. बट अगेन मैंने ये पर्सनली पढ़ा था और इससे ज़्यादा कुछ वैल्यू एडिशन नहीं हो पाया, क्योंकि बहुत ही जेनरिक कंटेंट है और हमको थोड़ा स्पेसिफिक टॉपिक वाइज चाहिए रहता है. और ऐसे ही दूसरा एक CN शंकर राव, एक ये बुक है, ये भी आपके पेपर 2 के लिए है. बट आई वुड रेकमेंड पर्सनली कि इस बुक पे रिलाई कर सकते हैं पेपर 2 के लिए, और फिर आप अपना करंट अफेयर से उसको रिलेट करो और थोड़ा बहुत सर मैम के नोट्स देख लीजिए, उसमें से भी आइडिया लग जाएगा कि कैसे पढ़ना है और क्या कंटेंट कैसे बिल्डअप करना है. फाइन, रिसोर्सेज के लिए इतना ही था. किसी को कोई डाउट है रिसोर्सेज में? ठीक है, किसी को कोई डाउट? ठीक है. देन रिसोर्सेज के बाद सेकेंड थिंग दैट वील डिस्कस इज नोट मेकिंग. अगेन फॉर 2025 के लिए अलग से कर लेते हैं और 2026 के लिए अलग से कर लेते हैं. फॉर 2025 आई अज्यूम कि आपके बेसिक नोट्स ऑलरेडी तैयार हैं, तो अब आपको उसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ वैल्यू एडिशन करना है. और वैल्यू एडिशन कहाँ से कर सकते हैं? जैसे अभी हमने बात करी कि सर और मैम के नोट्स एक बार कर्सरी रीडिंग दे सकते हो. आपको लगता है कि कोई चीज़ उन्होंने एक्स्ट्रा ऐड करी है, सपोज कोई उन्होंने डायग्राम ऐड किया है, कोई फ्लो चार्ट ऐड किया है, या कोई थिंकर का नाम है, स्कॉलर का नाम है, कोई भी ऐसी चीज़ आपको लगता है तो आप वो उनके नोट्स में से ऐड कर सकते हो. दिस इज फॉर जस्ट वैल्यू एडिशन. प्लस वैल्यू एडिशन कहाँ से होगा? जो आप टेस्ट सीरीज दोगे, जो आप टेस्ट सीरीज लगाओगे उसमें जो क्वेश्चंस आएंगे उनके जब आप मॉडल आंसर्स देखोगे वहां पे भी आपको काफी वैल्यू एडिशन का कंटेंट मिल जाएगा, उसको अपने बेसिक नोट्स में ऐड कर लेना है. ठीक है, दिस इज फॉर द वैल्यू एडिशन थिंग. बेसिक नोट्स के साथ साथ अभी मैं आपको कुछ दिखाऊंगी. आई विल शो यू शॉर्ट नोट्स, आई वुड कॉल देम वेरी शॉर्ट नोट्स. वो शॉर्ट नोट्स मैंने खुद बनाए हैं, तो मैं आपको एक बारी आई विल शो यू सो दैट यू विल हैव एन आइडिया that from your very basic notes how you have to make those very short notes so that you will be in a position to revise them quickly. जब अभी हम specifically जब अभी हम 75 day strategy discuss करेंगे, you will know that what will be the worth of these notes in your later period or basically after 40 or 30 days. So I'll एक second भैया, ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, पहले ही देख लेते हैं. So these are the very short notes from topic 1. इस पे पेन चलेगा? ठीक है. सो ये फर्स्ट टॉपिक ही है आपका, दैट इज इमर्जेंस ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी. मैंने इसमें क्या किया है, मैंने इसका एक सिंपल एक डेफिनेशन लिखा हुआ है अपने नोट्स में. इट इज अ सिस्टमैटिक स्टडी ऑफ ह्यूमन सोसाइटी. 2 स्कॉलर्स का नाम लिखकर मैंने इसको एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है कि ऑगस्ट कॉम्टे, ऑब्वियसली ही इज द फादर, ये क्या बोलते हैं सोशियोलॉजी के बारे में. सोशियोलॉजी इज द स्टडी ऑफ सोशल स्टैटिक्स एंड डायनेमिक्स. अब मैंने इसमें ये नहीं लिखा दैट व्हाट कैन कम अंडर सोशल स्टैटिक्स, ये मेरी मेमोरी में है ऑलरेडी, ये मेरे बेसिक नोट्स में था. आई विल नॉट राइट दीज थिंग्स इन माई वेरी शॉर्ट नोट्स. Similarly, what comes under social dynamics, I will not write these things in these very short notes. This is in my memory. Similarly, Emile Durkheim क्या बोलते हैं सोशियोलॉजी के बारे में, how he defines sociology. I have written that. अगर आप चाहो तो 1-2 और ऐड कर सकते हो, बट अगेन आप लोगों को जरूरत आएगी नहीं. अगर आप सोशियोलॉजी का डेफिनेशन लिखोगे पेपर में, इमर्जेंस या किसी भी टॉपिक में, एक ही स्कॉलर या 2 स्कॉलर को कोट करोगे, राइट, उससे ज्यादा तो नहीं करनी है. देन first topic is modernity and social changes in Europe and how did sociology emerge. So in here firstly I have written one definition of modernity जो हम लिख सकते हैं. In order to, for example, if I have to write the introduction, I can directly take this definition in order to introduce my answer. Then first thing that comes under modernity or before modernity we can say, which is in 16th and 18th century, this is the scientific revolution. ठीक है, मैं कर लूंगी. So under scientific revolution, now again if you see I have written just the keywords, that what is the meaning of scientific revolution, a shift from religious philosophical thought to the one which is based on empirical evidences. ये सिर्फ keywords लिखे हैं, empiricism, for so that when if at all answer is asked on emergence or scientific revolution, I have those keywords in my mind that I have to code these words: empiricism, rationalism, in which I can write logic. Then rise to modern thinking or rise of modern thinking, with 2 examples. Copernicus, because we know that he after him there was a shift from geocentric model to the heliocentric model. सिर्फ इतना ही लिखा है. इसके जो डिटेल है वो मेरे बेसिक नोट्स में है, ऑब्वियसली, कि इस मॉडल में क्या था, साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन में कैसे कंट्रीब्यूशन हुआ, बिकॉज दे गेव राइज टू न्यू आइडियाज, दे गेव राइज टू द साइंटिफिक आइडियाज व्हिच वर अवे फ्रॉम द फिलोसॉफिकल आइडियाज और चर्च बेस्ड आइडियाज. फाइन. देन coming to next topic is Renaissance. Only the keywords have been written here. Then Renaissance. Under Renaissance, it is again. So here you will see that I have written the definition of Renaissance. That is the rebirth of classical learning. Obviously, और थोड़ी बड़ी definition है, but because I already had learnt this definition, I did not write it here. So it was a rebirth of classical learning or the cultural flowering. Then these are the 3 key elements in Renaissance. I know that whenever I will be talking about Renaissance, I will have to talk about these 3 keywords. Humanism. For example, I know that humanism means that now the emphasis is on human. There is a shift from God-centric model to the human-centric model. Human is at the center of all activities and not God. So that is the meaning of humanism. Again, realism means that we will shift from idealism to now realism. We will not be romanticizing things, but we will be dealing them as it is. We will be talking that why is discrimination, why is exploitation being there in the society. So that is realism. And then again, empiricism. So I want to tell you that write only the keywords in your very short notes. This is for those who are writing 2025 attempt. This will help you to revise your content in a very crisp and in a shorter manner. Okay. Similarly, you can see that here enlightenment is there. So again, in enlightenment, the scholars' name have been mentioned. Montesquieu is mentioned, Rousseau is mentioned, and then the keywords: reason, individualism, ideas of equality, social awakening, liberalism. So these are all keywords. Now I know that I will be using these scholars. Darwin, what did Darwin say? How Darwin's biological evolution led to the sociological thinking. This. Then again, Irving Zetling. This is a scholar who supported enlightenment. I have written his book's name here: Ideology and Development of Sociological Theory. So it developed as a reaction to enlightenment. You can see that this is, I know that if it is written under enlightenment, it would mean enlightenment only. So these are kind of notes that you can make. So now see, the revolutions are there, political revolutions, economic revolution, then only the keywords, that what happened or what were the ideas brought about by French Revolution, then what were the ideas brought about by American Revolution. Here again I have quote, I have written this, if I can tell you, I have taken this from the notes of Animesh Pradhan sir. He had written that Berger had said that sociology is one of the intellectual products of French Revolution. So you see, I made these short notes, and when I came across sir's notes, I found that there is still certain things which can be added to my notes also. Then I put this particular scholar perspective here. Okay. Similarly, you can see, so this is industrial revolution. Again, only the important keywords have been written. Then social change. So what were the other social changes which were coming? Then what were the fallouts of modernity? And these, again, the counter enlightenment. And finally, after all these things, our sociology emerged. So basically, in order to tell you that this is a very crisp notes or very short notes that I have made. Similarly, this is for another topic, sociology as a science. What is the meaning of science? Then what are the components of scientific method? What is positivism? In these, if I know these 5 points, I can elaborate them. If you ask me to elaborate them in 4 pages, I will do it for a 10 marker, for a 20 marker. And then if you ask me to elaborate them in 2 pages, I can also do that. Similarly, then anti-positivism, non-positivism, only the important words, that what does this mean? And obviously with the name of one scholar, that is Max Weber, then phenomenology answer. So I want to show you that add only and only very keywords or very short points in your very short notes. So, okay. So basically, this is the short notes that I wanted to show you. So this is the idea, this is done. Very short notes. I'll tell you that when can you make these very short notes, that will be discussed later. Fine. Yes, that is for note making for 2026 people. If you are doing the foundation, then obviously take notes in your classes and try to compile them. Try to, alongside your foundation, read Nitin Sangwan and add whatever can be added from Nitin Sangwan in your basic notes only. Your class notes can be your basic notes. I also use my class notes as the basic notes only. So that is the thing. Secondly, for your note making, I will suggest you that do not make these very short notes initially, because these very short notes can be made only when you have the back idea. When you will know, as I showed you, I knew that what comes under empiricism, what comes under humanism, realism. I will not write these things in my very short notes. People say, or even if you'll start making these very short notes, again you'll have that fear of missing out. The people, like you people say, मैम फिर FOMO होता है, वो होगा FOMO. अगर आपको हर चीज लगेगा कि ये भी important है, ये भी important है, फिर सारी चीजें ऐड होंगी और हमें सारी चीजें नहीं ऐड करनी है. इसलिए जो 2026 वाले लोग हैं यहाँ पर, फोकस ऑन मेकिंग अ बेसिक नोट्स ओनली. बेसिक नोट्स अभी हमने बात करी कहाँ से बन सकता है, जो आप रिसोर्सेज पढ़ोगे वहां से बेसिक नोट्स बनेंगे, जो भी आप बुक्स रीड करोगे वहां से बनेंगे. फाइन. देन अब हमें क्या डिस्कस करना था? आंसर राइटिंग. फाइन. इधर स्ट्रैटेजी फॉर योर 75 डे स्ट्रैटेजी, उसमें तो हम डिस्कस करेंगे कैसे करना है. और बेसिकली फर्स्ट वी कैन डिस्कस दैट what were those key points which I mentioned in the very starting, which I would say which I took with me in my second attempt and I was able to improve upon my marks. So I would be discussing those very small and key points here. First, do not just write the surname of the scholar. Do not write Durkheim. Do not write Parsons. Use two ways. Either write their full names, Emile Durkheim, Talcott Parsons. Either write their full names, or if you are in dearth of time and you do not want to do this, write E and then Durkheim, T and then Parsons. Do not just write the surname of the scholars. This is for both paper 1 and paper 2. This is very, you might consider that this is such a peculiar thing that I'm telling you, but believe me, this made difference in my marks. I did use full names in my second and third mains. Fine. And second, do not make spelling mistakes while writing the important keywords. कीवर्ड्स कौन कौन से हो सकते हैं? ऑब्वियसली स्कॉलर का नाम, अभी आई रोट इमाइल डरखाइम, टैलकॉट, पार्सन्स, इनकी स्पेलिंग्स गलत नहीं करनी है. If you will make their spellings wrong, it will give a very bad impression to the examiner, to the evaluator. These things you would have read plenty of times, so they do not expect from you that you will make their spellings wrong. Second, very important keywords, for example, Renaissance. उनको पता है कि हमने ये टॉपिक्स पढ़े हैं. Then your this thing, for example, bourgeois, proletariat. These words, इनका spellings हमें गलत नहीं करना है. Write them as many times as possible, but do not make these spellings wrong in your exam. Fine. Third thing. Use or learn book's name. We have few scholars जिन्होंने obvious जो main scholars हैं या sociologists हैं, उनका book का नाम याद कर लीजिए. For example, if you are talking, if a question is regarding religion of obviously Emile Durkheim, then if you want to quote or if you want to write the introduction, write that Emile Durkheim in his book The Elementary Forms of Religious Life has talked this thing for religion. Write the book's name. If you are talking about suicide, write Emile Durkheim in his book Les Suicide. Similarly, for Karl Marx, Max Weber, do write their book's name. Learn these books' name by heart. Do not make a mistake in learning these books and write them in your answers. It will enhance your answers by, I would say, very good marks can be allotted if you write these things. Then, fourth thing, learn the definitions. Again, you must not make mistakes while writing these definitions. If Emile Durkheim has given a particular definition for religion, for suicide, you need to know that definition. If you are talking about ideal type of Max Weber, please write the definition that Max Weber has given for ideal type or for social action. Similarly, for anything and everything. Try, yes. Little bit is fine, but do not just comprehend the statement in your own words. Yes, do not comprehend in simple words. Write the definition that they have provided. Learn them. You will take time, obviously, but do that. It will add value. You have to copy paste that definition. Okay. Then, liberally use paper 1 content in paper 2 and vice versa. For example, see, here I did not write Robert King Merton, but I wrote R.K. Merton. So I did not only write Merton. Do not do that. R.K. Merton. R.K. Merton's concept is there of reference group. His concept of reference group. Can any one of you tell me that in paper 2, which concept can be related to reference group theory? Exactly. See, you almost everybody of you knew that whenever you are now talking about Sanskritization or you are talking about reference group, use other concept simultaneously. If you are talking about reference group, give one pointer for Sanskritization, obviously with M.N. Srinivas name. If you are talking about Sanskritization, talk about reference group, writing R.K. Merton's name. Do that. Second example. If you are talking about division of labor, that is our paper 1 Emile Durkheim's topic. If you are talking about labor, division of labor, in your paper 2, Louis Dumas, he considered Jajmani system as a form of division of labor. Jajmani system as a form of division of labor. Now, if you have a question regarding Jajmani system or caste or whatever you are doing, try to write division of labor as the keyword. And also you can quote Emile Durkheim in bracket. That can also do. Similarly, if you are talking about division of labor, if you find an option, try to write about Jajmani system of Louis Dumas. Okay, this is the interlinkage that you must do in both the papers. Fine. Okay. One more important thing that I want to tell you is write keywords. Again, this can be of two types. Keywords, this is specifically for your paper 2 or obviously paper 1 mein bhi kaam aayega. But in paper 2, it is all the more important. We have to segregate our sociology paper 2 from GS paper 1 society. Do not make examiner feel that you have written a paper of Indian society and not of sociology. If you will not be able to distinguish or segregate this thing, you might not be awarded with good marks. You will have to show that thing explicitly that you are writing a sociology paper and not your general studies paper. For that, obviously, keywords will come into play. You will have to write sociological keywords, sociological terms. One more thing. Or we can say that it can be shown through an example. This is an example which I also followed. In 2023, there was a question regarding the NEP. This was, I guess, this was repeated. This was the third time that the question was asked on NEP 2020. So we had to obviously analyze it sociologically. That was a similar kind of a question was there. One point which I wrote is that if education, this obviously NEP will promote the educational institutions. So for example, the specific example which I gave was of ECCE, your early childhood care and education, because this was formalized under our NEP 2020, 3 to 6 years. So I wrote that because of this, a school will be, obviously institution would be established and the parents will be freed from, or they will be given some time away from exercising the parenthood for a child. This function has been shifted to the educational institution. So this is a latent function of your NEP. This was the keyword which I mentioned. Now you can see that if I would have written that, okay, everybody knows that in NEP, ECCE has been introduced, but I connected it with sociology, that it is a latent function. Now, even if I do not mention Robert K. Merton here, that is fine, because latent function is a keyword of sociology. So we need not mention it specifically. Fine. So these are certain important things. While writing your answers, I think that you should follow these things. Then again, other things are very, very basic. Try to draw flow charts, diagrams wherever you find space. Personally, I could not find much space to draw the flow charts because our paper is a very theoretical subject or a theoretical paper. But if you find any chance or any case, do that. Writing in points or writing in paragraph. I think again, this is a very personal thing. If you are comfortable in writing in paragraphs, follow that. If you are comfortable in writing in points, do that. Personally, I used to write in points because there were certain questions. For example, there was a question of historical materialism of Karl Marx. Here, whenever I wrote this particular question, I could not write it in points. Then obviously I tried to write in paragraph format. So it is again, that is why I mentioned it is a very personal thing. With whichever way you are comfortable, do that. paragraph or point does not, in my opinion, it does not matter. Fine. So these are some important things regarding your answer writing. Now for your test series. Test series is very important thing. So you must go for at least one test series. For 20-25 people, those who are writing, write at least 8 tests. For sociology, these can be 4 sectional and 4 full length tests or FLT. So these can be 4 FLT and 4 full sectional tests. Again, 2 for your paper 1, 2 for your paper 2, and similarly here. But do write the tests. These tests will tell you what can be the value additions, what is your position, how you are writing. Even if you do not go as it is by the evaluation that would be provided to you, you will have some idea to how to write, whether you are able to write in those 3 hours or not. One more thing is that what will happen is when you will appear in these tests, in paper, in sociology or optional paper, we have to make choices. We have to do 19 questions, but we are given a lot of more questions also. But extra time is not given for selecting those particular questions. So we will have to take out that particular time to decide that which questions we will attempt. We will have to take out that time from those 3 hours only. Attempting these tests will give you an idea and will tell you, or will basically support your thinking process. It will help you to know that whatever questions you chose, whether you were able to write properly or not. I have a friend, he in his second mains, he chose after the exam, he told me that it was a wrong choice that he made, and literally his marks reflected that particular thing, because he made a wrong choice. He was not, once he started writing, he realized that he has made a wrong choice, but obviously going back is not possible in those 3 hours. So he continued with those particular questions and he could not do justice to the question. This thing you will be analyzing and you will be experiencing when you will give these full length tests. So you will know that how you have to make that choice. Okay, so this is for the 20-25 people. 20-26 people, if you are, if for it, they can be again 2 type of people. Okay, thank you. There can be 2 things. One, जिनका अभी basic material ही prepare नहीं हुआ है. And second, this is the I believe majority of the people are lying here, जिनका basic material prepare हो गया है, but now they do not know that how to start answer writing or whether they should take test series or not. जिनका basic material तैयार हो गया है, they can go for the test series. You can go for the test series. Again, 8 tests. अगर आपको suppose if you are giving 1 test in 1 month, that can also be there. So you should go for the test series then if you have done your basics. Those who have not, okay, I told the other way around. This is for those who have done their basics. So go for the test series. Those who have not done their basics, try to first cover your basic material, your foundation or your basic content, and then go for the test series. Meanwhile, what you can do is answer writing on your own level. So again, how can this answer writing be done? If you read one topic, if you cover one topic called first topic, emergence of sociology, then when you start your second topic or second unit of sociology, then start answer writing for your first unit. Try to see that whether you are able to write answers for the topic which you have already read. What you can do is, for this answer writing, obviously the best way is PYQs. You will find ample of PYQs when it comes to any unit. You name the unit, you will find ample of PYQs. So do that. Before or after starting another unit, try to write answers for your first unit. That is the thing that you can follow for your answer writing. Okay, now I believe the last thing that is there is 75-day strategy for people who are appearing this year. Okay, So what you can do is, this is if you are following your GS and optional simultaneously, which I think that you would be doing that. So if you are devoting 5 or 6 hours to your GS or 7 hours, then for basically around 5 hours, give for your optional. Devote these 5 to 6 hours for your optional on the daily basis. Obviously, I would recommend that start preparing from paper 1 only. Paper 1, if you'll do paper 1, you will be better able to relate paper 2. So start with your paper 1. Take max of 20 days, 18 to 20 days for covering your optional paper 1 from your basic notes that you would have prepared. Then for your paper 2, again give another 20 days or 18 or 20 days for your paper 2. I mean to say that in initial 40 days, try to complete the basic material of your paper 1 and paper 2. Try to give the complete reading to both of your papers, at least in 40 days. In these 40 days only, one more thing that you'll have to do in your optional would be answer writing. You cannot wait for these or for your basic material to be over and then do this answer writing. For people who are appearing this year, I can tell you that please write 2 to 3 PYQs on a daily basis. I followed this practice in my this attempt. Otherwise, I used to practice 4 or 5 questions. But I am telling you that if you will write 2 or 3 answers, then also it is fine. But this should be done on the daily basis. Whatever, obviously, you will not be reading just, or if you read emergence in one day, for example, then try to write answers for emergence in that particular day only. So you will have to write answers daily for your, or you can choose your PYQs, and then your test series can align. If you have completed this complete paper, then you can go for sectionals of this paper 1, and similarly for your paper 2. The test series will be here only for your this year's attempt. Then after these 40 days, divide your day into, or I would say then take 20 days. Again, divide these 20 days into 10 days and 10 days. Revise paper 1 and revise paper 2. In these days, in these 40 days, do one more thing. When you are reading your basic content, try to formulate that very short notes that I showed you. If it is possible, do that. If it is not possible, obviously focus on your basic content. Try to learn your basic content. Do not just give a reading, try to learn. Obviously, learning will require your scholar's name, your book's name, definitions, key concepts. Everything will have to be memorized. So do that in these particular days. If you are able to make short notes, well and good. If not, make them here. In the 10 days that you'll be giving for paper 1, in the 10 days that you'll be giving for paper 2. Believe me, these short notes will not take much of your time. It was around half an hour, or you can say 1 hour that I used to give for one complete topic, and these very short notes were prepared. So it will not take much of your time. Do that in these particular days. Revise your content and make very short notes. Okay, then you will be left with 15 days. In last 15 days, I will suggest you, obviously, you should give simulator for your all papers. So if you are giving simulators, your 4 days will go. 1 for essay, then for GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 for your optional. The test series that I asked you, and I asked you that give at least 4 full-length tests. What you can do is 2 full-length tests can be given as it is. Then for 2 full-length tests, sit 1 day and take a simulator. Give both paper 1 and paper 2 in 1 day. Do that. It is important because, again, as I told you, that you'll have to make selections, you'll have to choose, you'll have to run your mind in that direction. It is important that you give a simulator for your sociology also, or for your optional also. Okay. in these 15 days, 4 days are gone, we can take that supposedly 10 days are left. Then again, divide these 10 days into 5 and 5 and revise only these very short notes. Do not go back to your material now. I believe that you would have gone through your material twice, one in those 40 days and then in these 20 days. Now only revise your very short notes. It will help you to memorize, to learn only or recall only the very, very important concepts. So do that. This is an ideal schedule, obviously. If you are able to follow it, it would be very good. What you can see from here is you will be able to make 4 revisions. Why 4 revisions? One would be here, one would be here, another here, and then in those 5 days that you will be having after your GS. Obviously, in those, again, you can have 2 days and 2 days for your both optionals. So you will be able to have 4 revisions. इस चीज का फायदा हम लोग उठा सकते हैं as we are students of sociology. The subject is small, the subject has limited portions, so it gives us advantages on 2 fronts. Utilize that. What are the 2 front advantage? One, obviously you will have more time for your GS, which other people won't have. So we people tend to have more time for revising our GS also. And second is obviously the multiple revisions. People with mathematics are not able to even cover their syllabus once in these 3 months. We have an advantage of revising our content 4 times. And this revision does reflects in our answers. This revision will help you to score good marks. Do not waste your time, but obviously for those who are giving this year's attempt, do not waste your time and try to utilize it fully. Try to leverage the advantage that your optional is providing you. Okay, and now I can take your doubts. Okay, before that, one more thing for 20-25 people only. For your revisions, when you will be reading a concept and then again shifting to another day, try to take out 15 minutes or 20 minutes. What you can do in these 15-20 minutes before starting a new concept with closed books, try to recall whatever you would have read in the last day. These recalling should be your scholar's name, definitions. You can write them down as if you want. In these 15-20 minutes, you can write them. Your scholar's name, definition of the things, book's name. Basically, the key points that we had discussed for answer writing. Try to recall them in 15-20 minutes with closed book. Do not see your content and just try to recall. It will help you to memorize the scholar's name or the thinker's name. One more thing which is left is in your 10 markers, try to write at least 3 scholars' name for whatever topic you would be writing. And for your 20 markers, try to write at least 5 to 6 scholars' name. They can be in the entire answer. For 20 markers, generally in every optional paper, there are 4 pages. But again, here also, we are fortunate enough that from last 2 years, UPSC is giving only 3 pages. So we tend to save our time. When we write 6 answers of 20 markers, we have to write 6 pages less as compared to what others are writing. Utilize this time. But one more thing. This is, you must not practice this thing in your answer writing or in your test series. In your test series, you will be provided with 4 pages only. Try to write in 4 pages because you never know that when UPSC turns itself again to 4 pages for a 20 marker. Generally, what has been seen is in paper 2, this was for every time that UPSC in 20 marker questions gave 3 pages only. But this was not for paper 1. Paper 1 में 4 ही questions होते, 4 ही pages होते थे. Now it is only 3 pages. Okay? Fine. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Yes. You can liberally shift yourself. There is no particular pattern that you have to follow in the entire paper. Okay, you can do that liberally. In any, if in one question you are following point format, in another you can do the paragraph format. That is completely fine. Okay, yes, fine. Current affairs. Current affairs mainly will follow the role in, obviously, both papers, but in paper 2, it will have the utmost importance. Whatever social issue, whatever topic you will read in your current affairs can be quoted in your paper 2. If you are, for example, if you are talking about migrants, you will have a topic of migration, you will have a topic of urbanization. There you can quote the fact or anything that you would have read. For example, there was a term in current affairs called ruralization. It was seen that there is migration from urban areas to rural areas. One obviously was because of COVID-19, but it was in 2021, 2022. Another was because of underdevelopment in your urban areas. So there was a trend of ruralization. This was a word in current affairs. When a topic of migration, there was a question in 23 that what are the different types of or forms of migration. Here this word could have been readily used. So these keywords can be used in your answers. One more thing, this was again from your COVID-19 period only. If you know that there is a statement of Karl Marx where he says that it is not the consciousness of the man but the being of the man which determines his consciousness. Basically, it is the economic forces based on which all other forces are dependent. His ideas, his thoughts, his consciousness are determined by the economic forces. I related it with COVID-19 pandemic. How? When migrants were or when people in informal sector were not finding jobs in the urban areas, it was the economic force, that is they became they lost their livelihood. So when they lost their livelihood, it was the economic force which propelled their reverse migration. So it was not the consciousness of the man which determined his being, but the being of the man which determined his consciousness. They did not they did not cared about that there was no transportation to take them back. They did not care about food. They did not care about that whether they had slipper shoes in order to go back to their villages. But it was the sole purpose that they wanted to shift back to their villages because they knew that MG Narega work can be provided to them in their villages. So it was the economic condition. So this thing was related from your paper 1, but the current affair was linked to it. So in this way, you can relate your current affairs with your static portion. For current, no, there in market there is no proper magazine. In your magazine, when you will have the topic called social issues or social justice, so those topics can be used in your paper 2. Okay. So for example, if you have topic of surrogacy, it becomes important for your paper 2. Here directly your women are engaged. So this again, the feminine perspective, these things become important. Yes. Okay. Analysis, okay. First of all, go with the weightage of the portion. So if you know in paper 1, the maximum portion from where or the maximum weightage is for your sociological thinkers, which is your topic 4 or your unit 4. This is also for those who are doing 2025 or who will be giving 2025. If you want to revise your concepts, you can also go with the weightage of the units. As sociological thinkers, topic 4 is of utmost importance in our paper 1. Try to cover it first and holistically, so that that topic does not remains either I don't think untouched, but I would say do not give less importance to that topic. Go by the weightage of the unit. Whatever subject is having more weightage, do that or follow those or basically do that PYQ first. If you are doing thinkers, do thinkers. Now for analysis, another thing that can be done is, whatever topics you are having, try to see that how many questions have been posed. Try to write at least one answer for all the themes. Do not leave any topic untouched. Analysis majorly will follow on this thing. Try to see the weightage. For example, if you see from, one more thing is there, in your paper 1, your topic 3, which is your research and methodology, this topic remains, or people, I don't know why, tend to give very less importance to this topic. From this topic, UPSC generally asks around 30 marks paper. Every time this pattern has been seen, but I don't know that why people tend to miss on this topic. I also did the same thing in my paper, in my first attempt, and I wrote anything, and that is why I scored any marks, I would say. Do not miss this topic. It is very, very important. And I was telling you, for example, in your paper 2, there can be certain units जहाँ से questions थोड़े कम आए हैं, बहुत vague questions आए हैं. So analysis can be on this part, जहाँ से थोड़े direct questions आ रहे हैं, जहाँ से थोड़ी straightforward questions आ रहे हैं, पहले उन्हें cover कर ले. This can also be from your topper copies. I forgot to mention this thing. From your topper copies. Again, I can give you a very personal example. There was a question in 2023 which was related to the, it was differentiate between the social stratification given by Max Weber to that of Karl Marx. I had taken the note of this question. This is a very common question in our sociology paper 1. I took this answer from a topper copy, and in 2023, I did not had to think. I just copied whatever I had taken from that topper or topper answer copy. Exact thing was copied by me in my paper. So obviously you can go through some of the topper copies and try to take notes of very, very common topics. Common topics, as I mentioned, one is social stratification. Similarly, your religion, historical materialism, Karl Marx, these are very common topics. So try to take their answers as your answers. You can make them. Yes. Yes, yes. सेम पेपर 2 में भी कीवर्ड्स ही लिखो. आप सपोज आप पेपर 2 में कास्ट कर रहे हो, ठीक है, सपोज आप पहला या मतलब एक टॉपिक कास्ट आप कर रहे हो, सो कास्ट का सबसे पहले आपके नोट्स में आना चाहिए डेफिनेशन. अब इस डेफिनेशन में यू कैन राइट द डेफिनेशन ऑफ जीएस घूरे. ठीक है, ये डेफिनेशन आप अपने नोट्स में लिख सकते हो. जीएस घूरे ने क्या कास्ट के बारे में बोला है. देन कास्ट के बारे में ही जीएस घूरे ने 6 आपके फीचर्स दिए हैं. Now you have to only write these 6 features. Either you make this flow chart, कुछ भी बनाओ, but write only these 6 features of caste which are given by G.S. Gure. Again, do not write your own feature because examiner knows that what features are given by G.S. Gure. Second, in this only, now write perspective of M.N. Srinivas. This can be again 2 types of perspective. One can be the topic of dominant caste and another can be Sanskritization. Now, what you can write is only the definition of these concepts, or to the maximum extent, write that it was in Rampura village that he had done his research. It was in Mysore, Coorg district that he has done his research. Now, do not, in your very short notes, do not write the meaning of Sanskritization. You must know the meaning. What you can add is examples. You can write the examples of Sanskritization. For example, one example which I can recall is Gaudiya tribes. These Gaudiya tribes are Sanskritized into God Brahmins. So these examples, these keywords or the name of the village, these can be added in your very short notes. Similarly, after talking about M.N. Srinivas, third you can talk about Louis Dumas. Then write his book's name, that is Homo Hierarchus. Then his ideas of in Homo Hierarchus, there can be 2 to 3 ideas in his book. That ideology, it is based on the ideology that caste is justified. So write that. Then for Andre Bete, what is the view of Andre Bete? So this kind of basically short notes can be made by you. यस हम्म देखो अगेन try to note only 1 or 2 quotations for every topic if you want to do that, exactly, because you'll have to learn the definitions. You cannot substitute your this thing, your definition for your quotations. If you are able to remember both or recall both your quotations as well as your definitions, your names, etc., etc., then you can learn them. Otherwise restrict yourself to only one quotation. डाल सकते हैं. We can use the same example because obviously we पेपर 1 हमारा हम पहले लिख चुके हैं, कोई और चेक करेगा. अगर हम पेपर 2 में भी सेम एग्जाम्पल लिखते हैं तो it will not cost you. You can write, but obviously if you are learning examples, try in your paper 2 try to learn some one at least Indian example, and in your paper 1 try to learn some Western or some Eastern examples. Okay, but in paper 1 you can go for Indian example. In your paper 2 preferable would be Indian example. Yes, anyone else? Yes, yes. Okay. I understood your question. See, this thing I also struggled for finding some model answers, right? Yes. So for that, understand UPSC again will be listing its model answers for 300 PYQs, which will include 2024 PYQs also. So you can take that and you can be rest assured that the quality of the answers would be appropriate for you to analyze your answers. Hmm. Hmm. Definitely this can be followed if a particular person has talked about multiple things. So it is better that you learn one name and then different perspectives. One more thing from here is in paper 2, if for example you know that A.R. Desai is a Marxist scholar, तो आपको पता होगा कहीं ना कहीं कि he would have given some negative perspective या किसी चीज का उन्होंने नेगेटिव ही बोला होगा. ट्राई टू नो कि इन्होंने क्या बोला है. अपना नेगेटिव पर्सपेक्टिव स्कॉलर के नाम में नहीं डालना है. दिस इज अगेन वन मिस्टेक दैट पीपल डू, particularly in paper 2, because they know that from which area a scholar is. They try to write their own opinion in the name of a scholar. You will be penalized for this. Do not do this. इनका कुछ keywords याद कर लो, इनके ही आइडियाज को याद करना है, कीवर्ड्स को याद कर लेना है. ऐसा नहीं कि एक स्कॉलर की बात दूसरे और फॉर एग्जांपल दिस आल्सो हैपेंस इन फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर्स. अगर किसी एक स्कॉलर ने कोई बात बोली है, आपकी किसी भी स्कॉलर ने, उमा चक्रवर्ती ने, आपके किसी भी स्कॉलर ने एक बात बोली है, आप उस स्कॉलर की बात दूसरे फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर की बात में नहीं डालेंगे. जो उन्होंने बात बोली है वही याद करनी है और वही डालनी है. इसमें ऑब्वियसली यू कैन राइट देयर वर्ड्स और देयर पर्सपेक्टिव इन योर ओन वर्ड्स, बट ऐसा नहीं कि अगर एक स्कॉलर ने बात बोली है तो दूसरे स्कॉलर की बात इनके नाम में लिख रहे हैं, क्योंकि पेपर 2 में ऐसा बहुत होता है. और क्योंकि जो इवैल्यूएटर्स होते हैं दे आर ईदर फ्रॉम योर DU और फ्रॉम योर JNU. ये जो पर्सन्स होते हैं ना, जो ये सारे हमारे स्कॉलर्स हम पढ़ते हैं, ये इनके फ्रेंड्स होते हैं. उन्होंने उनकी रिसर्च के बारे में कहीं ना कहीं से पढ़ा होता है, तो उनको बहुत अच्छे से पता होता है कि उन्होंने ये बात बोली है या नहीं. तो ये गलती नहीं करनी है. अगर आपको नहीं आ रहा स्कॉलर का नाम तो मत लिखो. that is fine, but गलत नहीं लिखना है. हाँ, तो फिर मतलब ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा अकॉर्डिंग टू द फेमिनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव. तो अगेन द नाउ यू राइट, जैसे हम अगर इसको हम टेम्पलेट बनाएं, so if you have to analyze particular thing, you can write from the functionalist perspective, you can write from the Marxist perspective, from subaltern perspective, and from the feminist perspective. Yes, it would be okay, but better would be that you recall the names. That is why I am asking that multiple revision of the scholar's name, of the thinker's name would be required. So for every topic, if you for any basic topic also, if you are reading suppose environment, generally you might not find many examples, but then also try to learn 4 or 5 examples for your environment. For example, one is Ulrich Beck. He has considered the modern society as a risk society. So you can relate that thing in your environment. As we are seeing today, we are experiencing climate change. So modern society has become a risk society. So you can quote Ulrich Beck. Similarly, you can quote other scholars who would have said somewhere or the other on the environment. No, I won't recommend this, because again if we are having two different optionals, philosophy is another, sociology is another. So a person, as I mentioned, either they would be generally either the DU professors or your JNU professors. So they might not like shifting from your area or from their area into another area or another discipline. So avoid doing that. One more thing is there, which I have personally sensed, that the examiner might have bias towards a person who would have done sociology as their as a graduation subject. You might say that how do they come to know? There is a difference in writing pattern. The one thing that I mentioned you in the answer writing Durkheim is coaching style of talking for Durkheim. The people who read sociology, they always write either Full-Emile Durkheim or Durkheim. So by this simple thing, the examiner comes to know that whether this person has just taken sociology as their optional, or they had some background reading also, and they have that small biasness towards the people who are from the field. I provided almost all the tips that I had. Yes. Okay, yes, this can be a good question. See, tips and tricks, even if I do not mention tips and tricks, we have these questions, right? 3 questions in one, or 3 sub questions in one question. Try to see that whether you know this or you know this. Basically, if you know 40 marks answer in a particular question, go for that. If you do not know 40 marks, if you know 30 marks question, then also go for that. Basically, minimize or maximize, I would say maximize the marks that you can approach. First thing. Second, if it is a direct, there are 2 types of questions that we get in sociology. One is a very direct question. We would have made notes, we have the content and everything. Other would be the application based questions. For example, this is generally from R.K. Merton that we have this. If you have gone through some PYQs, it was asked that analyze corruption from Merton's perspective, or analyze your traffic jam problem from R.K. Merton's perspective. So these are the applications that you will have to apply their theories into the questions that are asked to you. I tend to avoid these questions. I did not attempt or tend to attempt the application based questions, because these have very wide applicability, and what I might think in that particular time frame may be very less as compared to what the examiner is expecting. So basically when I used to attempt my paper, I tend to go towards that portion which is relatively static, and I had content for it. Obviously the paper or the questions in which I could think of at least 3 to 4 scholars. I knew that yes, if like I mentioned for environment, I knew that there were 3 or 4 scholars in my mind. So I will, if at all, if there is a chance, I will go for the environment question. So in a nutshell, I focus towards more the static part rather than the application based. Then you'll have to attempt. Okay. Okay. Again, even if we in these questions, if you are not having any scholar, it is possible, right? Try to use the sociological terms then. Otherwise, if you are talking about open defecation, obviously the experience and the reading will matter. At this very point of time, I can think of Louis Dumo. He talked about purity and impurity. So that thing can be mentioned here, that obviously open defecation will promote the impure thing. So that can be there. And one is Patrick Geddes. I might not write the correct spelling. I'm not able to recall. Patrick Geddes, he is a very early sociologist. So he talked about a clean urban area. So these things, that is why I mentioned other scholars that you would be reading in urbanization. Try to link them with Swachh Bharat. This is the way that you can do. Or obviously, otherwise you'll have to use some sociological terms. Sociological terms like one perspective again can be, and third can be a feminist perspective. So open defecation will also obviously prevent the social evils or the social issues that women are facing if they are going for defecation in open. So one can be again the feminist perspective. Now I might not know the name, but I'll quote that it is from the feminist perspective. Okay, so these are some of the sociological or the keywords that you can use. But you should not worry about those particular questions, because when it comes as a compulsory question, if it is a very random question, it is a random question for everyone. So everyone will try to write the best that they can recall. Okay, so that is the thing that you must, or I would say you must be more cautious when you are attempting the optional, or I would say the questions that you will have to select. Because in those questions, if UPSC is giving you some choice, they will expect that you would have taken that choice and you are writing in the right or the correct manner. Any more doubts? Done? Yes. If you are going with this question or the compulsory one. Okay. Okay. I understand your question. Rather than attempt or leaving it blank, what I can recommend is attempt it in last. Because you also know that you are not having the content. So you will have to write anything in that question. To write that anything, do not miss on the content or on the questions which you can be sure about. So leave those questions for the last. That can be done, but I won't suggest you to leave those questions. Write at least write something so that you can be scored, at least something can be given to you. Again, that can be one perspective, but personally, I gave 3 mains. I did not leave one question. So even if I did not know the complete things, I tried to write something or the other sociologically so that it at least fits in the answer. Fine. Anything else? I followed the flow of the paper. That was my idea, both in GS papers and the optional. I tend to start from the starting only. So obviously 5 compulsory questions first, question 1. Then if I knew question 2, if I was to attend question 2, the choice based question, I did that. If not, then third, or basically in a line by line manner. And there is a tendency of people obviously that they go with choice based questions first. They try to attempt the 20 markers first and then come to the 10 markers. So I did not have that tendency, and I started the paper from beginning only. Again, this is my personal view, because I consider that when examiner opens your paper, the examiner will also open from the very starting. So if you compromise on your answers in the starting only, it will set a bad precedent on the examiner, and then again he or she might examine your answer from that perspective. So I tend to write those answers in a better manner as compared to the other, particularly the other answers. Yes. Regarding the 3 things. Regarding crash course for 2025, foundation for 2026, and the test series. We give us 2 to 3 days, everything will be told that these things will be coming or not. Okay, but yes, that thing will be definitely coming, your 300 PYQs. This was for last year also, and it will be updated for this year. So this is coming, 300 PYQ, sociology with 300 PYQs. So ideal answers will be provided to you. Very sophisticated answers will be provided. These things will be telling you in 2 to 3 days. Yes. कौन सा नोट्स मेरे? अच्छा वो मैं ये बता रही थी आपको कि हमारे पास 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चन आता है या फिर 20 मार्कर क्वेश्चन आता है सोशियोलॉजी में. अदर ऑप्शनल्स में 15 मार्क के भी क्वेश्चन आते हैं. हमारे पास यही दोनों ऑप्शंस होते हैं. ठीक है, ये 6 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं और ये 13, जिसमें से आपके 10 तो कंपल्सरी क्वेश्चंस होते हैं एंड 3 क्वेश्चंस इन क्वेश्चन के साथ होते हैं. ठीक है, यहाँ पे तो आपको 2 ही पेज, यहाँ पे तो आपको 2 ही पेज मिलते हैं. जैसे आप जीएस का आंसर लिखते हो ना 10 मार्कर, आपको 2 पेजेस मिलते हैं. यहाँ पे आपको 2 ही पेजेस मिलते हैं. यहाँ पे जो 20 मार्क का क्वेश्चन होता है, इसमें पेपर 1 और पेपर 2. पेपर 2 में यूपीएससी जहाँ हमेशा से 3 पेजेस देता था लिखने के लिए. जैसे हमारे पास जीएस में 15 मार्कर में 3 पेजेस होते हैं ना लिखने के लिए, सिमिलरली यूपीएससी 20 मार्क क्वेश्चन में 3 ही पेजेस देता है सोशियोलॉजी पेपर 2 में. ठीक है, पेपर 1 में यूपीएससी 2 साल पहले तक 4 पेज देता था. सो यू हैड टू राइट अ 20 मार्कर इन 4 पेजेस. जैसे हम 15 मार्कर 3 पेजेस में लिखते हैं जीएस के लिए, वैसे यूपीएससी पेपर 1 में 20 मार्कर क्वेश्चंस के लिए 4 पेजेस देता था. But from last 2 years, in 2023, 2024, UPSC gave 3 pages only. So this was a new pattern. So what happened was some people did not notice this, that there are 3 pages and not 4. So because obviously we have that tendency, and we had that preconceived notion that there would be 4 pages only. So people started writing, and after turning 3rd page, they noticed that there is no more page left, and this compromise their conclusion, because obviously they had to conclude on the 3rd page itself and their content was left. So that is why this is a suggestion from my side, whenever you are attempting the paper in the final exam for both papers, paper 1 and paper 2, first try to see that how many pages are being provided for question or for a 20 marker question, because then you will know that whether you will have to write that content in 3 pages or 4 pages. That was the thing. Okay, for self-evaluation, one thing that I did was the peer review. I had one friend, so we both were scoring decently in sociology. So we sat together, and as I told you that on a daily basis, I used to write 4 to 5 answers. So we obviously in a time frame manner, or in a time bound manner, we used to write the answers, and then he took my notebook and I took his notebook. Then we used to evaluate that what extra points he would have written, I would note down, or I would have written, he would note down. If you do not have that peer group, or if you do not have that, so from the model answers, try to see that if they are writing, as I mentioned, first of all, you will have to include 3 to 4 scholars and then 5 to 6 scholars in 20 markers. If you are able to do that, fine. Otherwise, take it from the model answers. Try to see what segregations model answer has given you, what kind of value addition the model answer has given you, or what keywords that the model answer has used. If you are able to do that, it means you are on a right track. So basically, the idea is the way that you evaluate your GS answers. If you find any lacuna, if you find any laggings in your answer, you tend to add that from your GS answers, right? Or from your model answers. So similar is the case for your sociology. If you find any current affair, add that in your answers. This can happen when you are giving the test series, because in test series they will be providing you some current affair examples. So try to add them in your notes. Okay, so in 2023, 2022, I am not very sure that which I referred. Okay, yes, in 2022, I went for IAS Gurukul. Then in 2023, I went for Study IQ, and 2024, I went for Vision IAS. The one suggestion that I can give you is that if you have taken a foundation from a particular coaching, avoid giving test series from that coaching. This backfired for me because I took similar test series. So when I used to give my tests, everything that appeared was from my notes. So I used to feel that I am on a very right track, but actually it was not. So this is the suggestion, that whatever foundation you do not follow the test series of that coaching. Okay. Okay. Yes, you can do it, because you will have some, or I would say, that is fine. But again, I would or if I would have been in your position, I would have preferred doing PYQs rather than random questions. Okay. Yes, definitely. Then you can do that. Done. You can do that, because that way you will post your answers. They can also get evaluated, and you can also see that what others are writing. So that can be done. Fine.